some massive leaks have come out for Superman, and it sort of gives us the structure of what the film is going to be, on top of some massive spoilers on who is playing Jor-El. So, if you are someone who doesn't want to know spoilers, if you stay away from social media, because trust me, if you're on X, if you're on Instagram, if you're on TikTok, you probably have seen this already, and we're going to discuss it here today on Slav's Free Talk. But if you don't want to know any of this, look, I'll take the hit. Click off now. But if you want to hear my thoughts on it, stay here. We're going to talk a little bit about what's happening, all right? So, 3, 2, 1, and here we go. All right. So, according to reports, there was a test screening that took place a few days ago. And we kind of alluded to that, but we talked about it the other day on the Watchtower. And there were some positive reactions and some negative reactions, as happens with every test screening. Look, not everybody loves every single movie that they see. And that's something that a lot of people can't grasp. People can't grasp that not everybody's going to go to a movie and love it. Some people may have differing opinions on it. Some people may like some of the opinions or some of the things about it. It is what it is, okay? It is what it is. So, over at SlavsFreeTalk.com, I kind of broke down sort of what the leak about the structure of this movie is. So, over here, I say the latest run of test screenings for James Gunn's Superman has stirred up a fresh batch of discussion online. It's being said that while reactions were more mixed this time, the reviews have been more positive than not, which is true. There have been a good bit of positive reviews coming out of it. Still mixed, but more positive. This is largely because of the film's unconventional narrative structure. But if you've been following Gunn's career or even just paying attention to what Superman is shaping up to be, that mixed label might actually signal something truly exciting. So apparently the audiences were caught off guard by the film's unconventional format. Instead of the normal superhero movie arc people have come to expect from, say, Marvel or even the DCEU, this movie, Superman, is said to play more like a series of small stories, with each presenting Superman, facing a different challenge, or possibly like shorts in an anthology. That's kind of what is being said. I put it in my article like this because it's still completely unclear. I should say. Not completely unclear, but I don't know how to best explain it for people to grasp, but somebody does on X know how to explain it pretty well. He said, if you loved Superman for all seasons or All-Star Superman, specifically the way those stories were told and structured, then James Gunn's Superman was specifically made for you. And that's coming from Resident Justice, who is somebody who watches my live shows and peruses my channel from time to time. I say follow him on X. He's a great fan of DC and pulp culture. Great person to follow on X. So go follow him. But he is spot on. From what I've heard, I've talked to a couple people, it seems like it is structured like that. Now, for those of you who don't know, For All Seasons is a Superman story that takes place over the course of the seasons of the year. Spring, summer, fall, winter. And each season is from the perspective of someone relatively close to Superman, whether it's Lois, Lex Luthor, his father, and Lana Lang. And it's structured in a way that it's telling the story from their perspective in a way of what's happening with Superman. Then you have All-Star Superman, which each story within that is its own, or I should say each issue in that is essentially its own little arc. And it has a little story, mini story, with a through line. Okay, it kind of like goes into the next story, but each story has its own little arc, and it's 12 issues, and it's a really, really good story. I encourage everybody to go check out All-Star Superman. I think All-Star Superman is really the one that you should be checking out in regards to understanding this, but I think that there are going to be some For All Seasons sprinkled in there as well. So, by presenting the film as a series of shorts, Gunn may be leaning into the timeless quality of Superman, because that's kind of what Superman was back in the day. I mean, let's not forget that when he started as a comic book character, and this is why I've been saying for months and months that people are going to be shocked at how comic accurate Superman, this movie, is going to be, because it's going to feel like a comic come to life. And I think it's, you take a look at how Superman was portrayed in the comics and how things were done in the comics, about how it was just these comic books that would come out, and it would just be incredible for people to read. They would read these comics and it would just be otherworldly, and it would take them away. And I think that's how each one of these little segments could play out in the movie. Now, I want to get further in detail with this and explain, like, this movie has been said many, many times to be different than anything that James Gunn has ever done before. Remember, not too long ago, people were saying, oh, it's just like Guardians of the Galaxy. It's going to be just like Guardians of the Galaxy. It's just going to be like Guardians of the Galaxy. This doesn't sound like Guardians of the Galaxy, people. This sounds nothing like Guardians of the Galaxy. But, as I've said, yes, it's going to have that James Gunn feel to it. It's going to bring that little bit of quirkiness, his sense of humor to it, and that's okay. That is okay. You can bring that to it. It can have that silliness that people have been talking about, that people have mentioned. Because why? Because he brings the humor, the heart, the heroics. He brings that all to his films. I think we're going to be okay here, guys. I do. Now, Resident Justice does dive a little more deep into it, because Man of His Time kind of questions if this is true. He understands why people have mixed feelings about it. But he goes into this. He goes, it is a character-driven movie that follows the life of Superman and the challenges he faces during the events of one specific week. And this is where I think the For All Seasons comes into play, because it's going to take place over a week, and I think we're going to see little sections of that week similar to For All Seasons, where it takes place like here's a section, here's a section, here's a section of the week. There's a narrative through line with Lex and his schemes. So there's that through line. We're going to see that through line where Lex is trying to accomplish something, and he says, I think it sounds awesome. But remember, while we still have these leaks, while we still have this information, we do have zero context on how it is all going to play out. And while we are still 3 months away from the movie, they still can tinker with the film. They still can change things up. I'm not saying structurally, like they're not going to be able to change the entirety of the movie and change that it's just one story. That's going to be difficult to do. Maybe they could. I don't know. I mean, we don't know how they filmed anything, so maybe they could. But when it comes down to it, structurally, it sounds like this is probably how it's going to be done. I think it's interesting. I'm all for a new approach to a movie like this. And it sounds to me that people have been asking. We want something new. We want something inventive. We want something different. For how long now? Hell, since 2019, since 2017 even. People have been asking. We want a different way of looking at these superhero films. We've been seeing the same thing for the most part since 2008, 2009. We want a different way of approaching these. James Gunn told us 2 years ago that he was approaching things differently. I've been repeating that for how long now? But people kept attacking me saying, well, you how do you know he's going to do that? He's a liar. He's a liar. No, first off, no, that doesn't mean he's a liar. Let the man do what he's doing, and let's see. If the movie comes out like this, he followed through on his promise of approaching it in a different way. We have to see how it plays out. It sounds absolutely interesting to me. Again, we've heard people talk about how this is very different from a normal James Gunn movie, that he's approached it in a different way. Yes, it has some of the James Gunn heart and humor in it, which is perfect, because we know it's going to have heroics because it's a Superman movie. But it has the heart and the humor that James Gunn brings to his films. It's going to be awesome. I have no doubt in my mind. I am curious to see how it plays out because it is a different type of structure. We're all used to one structure for superhero films over the last, 15 years plus. It'll be nice to see something different. It really will. Now, moving on to the next story. Guys, I'm telling you, this is a big spoiler, so if you don't know this spoiler, click off now. 3, 2, 1. All right, the big spoiler is Bradley Cooper is playing Jor-El in James Gunn's Superman. All right. When this news popped up yesterday, I was a little skeptical. I was out and about doing some things with my family. So I immediately threw a couple messages out like, hey, is this real? Is this real? And one person sent me a message back, was like, hey, I don't want to say anything, but he just shrugged. I was like, okay. Another person said, yes. And I was like, this is interesting. Remember just a couple weeks ago, we had the Tom Cruise rumor that was going around. And I think everybody thought that would have been cool. But this is a hell of a casting. This is a really, really good casting, in my opinion. Now, it's said that he will only have a small, very small role in this film, possibly in the beginning of it. I'm fine with that. I'm perfectly fine with that. I'm hoping it's more than that. I'm hoping it's more than just in the beginning. I'm hoping that he's kind of sprinkled in throughout. But I think this is a really good casting because he's such a great actor. And sometimes I feel he gets overlooked with how good his acting skills are because he's been in movies like The Hangover and Wedding Crashers and Guardians of the Galaxy as a voice. But then people forget that he was in movies like A Star is Born and what was the one with him and Jennifer Lawrence? I can't remember what that one is, but that was a great movie as well. Like, he is a fantastic actor, and I think this is a great role for him to take on. I'm excited about this. I'm just disappointed that these leaks are coming out right now. I am disappointed in that. Apparently, there's been a lot of test screenings for this movie, and the more that you start to do these test screenings, the more likely that leaks and information is going to get out. I'm hoping that they now kind of stop these test screenings. I'm hoping that if they do any more, it's like 1, maybe 2, and that's it. Because I think at this point in time, we don't want any more information coming out. We don't. But, again, all of this information's fun. All of it's interesting. We're getting a lot of cool information that's ripe to just eat up. I love it. I love it. Trailer is said to come out in just a few days. We possibly get 5 minutes of some kind of footage. It's going to be attached to Minecraft, at least the IMAX version. A lot coming out in the next week or so. CinemaCon right around the corner. I mean, marketing is ramping up. We're getting information. We're getting tidbits of stuff. This is great. Are you excited? Do you like this information? Do you like this news? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Hit that like button, hit subscribe. And again, everybody, thank you so much for getting me to 2,000 subscribers. Onward and upward now. 3,000 is my next goal. Let's get to 3K. Hey, before the summer. Let's get it before, let's say before Superman. That's a little after the summer. But let's see if we can hit 3K before Superman. Hell, let's see if we can get 3,500 before Superman. Let's try that. 3,500 subscribers on my channel before Superman comes out. Push my channel. Share this around. Let's get it done, guys. Tell people how hyped you are for Superman and say, hey, Slav, he's pumped about it too. Let's share this around, guys. I hope to see you on Tuesday when I do my live stream alongside CinemaCon for Warner Brothers. And catch you all later.